You get the first screen up. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. This is Amanda Worley with DecisionFirst Technologies, and we're all here today to listen to our webinar on using location intelligence to map better business strategies. I'm Director of Marketing here at DecisionFirst Technologies, and we specialize in establishing a complete end-to-end business intelligence strategy for your enterprise, including such things as data warehousing, reporting and analysis, dashboards and scorecards, deployments and migrations, and location intelligence, which is what we'll be getting to shortly. Chris Hickman, Senior Business Intelligence Consultant from DFT and one of our very own industry experts, will be presenting and demonstrating for us today. I've muted all the phone lines, except ours, of course, but I will open them back up at the end of the webinar so that we can have a Q&A session. But also feel free to send us any questions through the chat feature of WebEx, and we'll try to incorporate those throughout the presentation. But if we don't get to them during the presentation, we will definitely get to them at the end of the presentation. Okay? Thanks so much for your attention, and I'll now turn it over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Hickman. I'm a Senior Business Intelligence Consultant here at DecisionFirst Technologies. My specialties here are business intelligence, report writing, universe design, web intelligence, crystal report, everything on the IDD side of business objects. I also specialize in the location intelligence side of the business, primarily using Esri's GIS solution and using the APOS tools to combine business objects and Esri into a single integrated solution. So what I have on the screen here is just a few PowerPoint slides that we'll go through, and I'll give you an introduction to location intelligence, and then we'll talk some about use cases that I've seen in my work in location intelligence. And then I'll show you a few simple demos of the different aspects of the location intelligence tools that we offer here at DecisionFirst. So quickly, an agenda. I just did the introduction. We'll talk about the relationships between or among DecisionFirst and the different location intelligence and business intelligence vendors. Then we'll talk about LI, and then I'll give you a demo, and then we'll wrap it all up and then talk about next steps. So SAP Business Objects and Esri are two natural partners in business intelligence and location intelligence. The two systems are fully featured enterprise systems that natively won't necessarily work together, but still strive to provide two views of similar information. So where Business Objects provides reporting capabilities and analysis capabilities, and Esri provides geographic capabilities, we can now combine those two together into a single solution that allows you to put the where in your business intelligence. And APOS is a company out of Canada that provides a tool that allows two-way communication between business objects and Esri. So what is location intelligence? Well, basically, LI adds a geographic dimension to data management, analytics, and visualization. So imagine you've got a report that has a listing of customers. You've got a report that has a listing of customers, but you don't necessarily know where those customers are located on the map. Consider the idea of a retail chain that does business all over the country, but primarily in Florida. Now, if you did a report analysis of your customers in Florida, you may recognize that within a 5-mile radius of your individual retail locations, you can tell that you've got where your customers are. You can also determine any demographic data about those customers, and using the Esri system, you can determine that demographic data. But whenever you're looking at your data, you may recognize that you've got people that live in other areas of the country that you may not have recognized with just a report-based system. So you may see that you've got people from the Northeast that migrate down to Florida for the winter and then go back up to the Northeast for the summer. So that may open up a whole new area of marketing for your business in the Northeast when you primarily work in the Florida area. So that's one way that the combination of business intelligence and location intelligence can give you better insight into your customers and who you're trying to target with your offerings. What can it do? Look, LI provides predictive analysis that can be integral to corporate strategies for growth, enhanced profitability, delivering key products, and providing a competitive advantage. And the use case that I just gave a moment ago is a good indicator of that, how you can grow and reach people that may not necessarily see the majority of your marketing or your outreach into that group. So the first idea, whenever you start thinking about location intelligence, you can start thinking about it in terms that we all see every day. What you're looking at here is a standard weather map. So the phrase thematic highlighting is best used in a case like this. You can thematically highlight data on your map. So if you look at the image on the left side here, you'll see that you can see weather as it pertains to different areas and different severities of weather. And then on the right side, you can see the typical temperature gradient across the continental U.S. We can apply that same idea of thematic highlighting to customer data. So we can thematically highlight individual zip codes, individual blocks, individual counties, CVSAs, MSAs, states, all the way up to countries. We can highlight those that allow you whatever view you require of your data. So you can begin thinking about it like that. And so this is taking that idea of thematic highlighting and applying it to your geographic data for your map. So you can see here we've got gasoline spending in the thousands. You can see where the higher amounts of spending are visually, rather than having to rely just on a report to show you, okay, in this zip code or on this street we have higher amounts of spending. You can very quickly see where your higher amounts of spending are, so maybe you can concentrate more on those areas versus your underserved areas. Or you may want to see, like in this example, we've got the population represented as the black dot. You can see that the majority of your customers are in the underserved areas there. So potentially we could move out to those areas and do more marketing in those areas. So with GIS we have the concept of layers. So on the very bottom we have the overall view. And then as you move up in the layers, you have finer and finer levels of detail, from land usage to elevation to parcels to streets and customers. Now, we lay these layers on top of one another to get a complete view of the real world. So that's an idea of how overlaying layers on one another can provide you with an overall view of your reality and your business. So I've got a few areas here that I've provided some screenshots. Retail is one industry where location intelligence makes sense because it allows you to do analysis on your existing customers and also find where there are other customers like your target customers. It also allows you to look at areas where you may not have a retail representation. So you're considering opening up a new store, say on a specific street corner. Well, now using some of the offerings from Esri, you can go stand on that street corner with your iPhone or your iPad, and you can determine within say a 2-mile or a 5-mile radius of where you're standing, who lives there, how much money do they spend, what do they do in their spare time, what do they watch on television. So you can take an overall snapshot of customers within an X-mile radius, and you can determine that based on your competitive needs. In healthcare, you can import your data from your data gathering systems, whether it's hospital data, whether it's surveys, whether it's generally available data from, say, the CDC, and you can do graphical analysis of that data. So if you plot the number of the amount of virus occurrences that are happening, you can graphically and immediately see where there are greater outbreaks. So if you look at the red bubble chart there on the right side of this screen, you can kind of see where there are greater occurrences of a specific virus. Of course, within healthcare, you can still maintain your marketing like you would with the retail industry, because you're trying to, you own a chain of hospitals, you want to be able to advertise in areas where it would make the most sense. Insurance. This is particularly interesting. We created a hurricane tracking system for an insurance company that I'll talk about here shortly. But insurance allows you to better understand where your concentrations of customers are, where your higher policy amounts are. So if you wanted to do an analysis of a natural disaster, say a tornado, you can plot the path of that tornado on a map and then analyze that using the integration between Business Objects and Esri to determine, okay, on this path of this tornado, if there was a quarter-mile destruction area around the path of that tornado, you can determine the exact policy amount and the exact amount of property amounts that you have in that path, so you can determine how much you may have to reallocate from other resources across the country into that area to provide faster responses to the people that are in need. In utilities, you can deal with asset management, routing of fleet vehicles, again, target marketing. One of the examples that I'm going to give here shortly is using, so you get a call from a customer that say, my water is bad or my water is not working. Can you tell me why? So basically we can start with selecting that customer point on the map and then drawing a circle, say 2 miles around that customer and pulling out all of the fire hydrants in that area to determine, okay, we've got this listing of fire hydrants, we need to send people out to check out the fire hydrants. Or water mains or pipelines in the areas, we can run reports to determine what we need to check specifically to try to address the problem. Transportation is the last item that I have here. You can work with the integration between Business Objects and Esri on bridge assessment. So you've got a specific county in a state, you want to run a report geographically, so you want to select that county and say, show me all of the bridges that are deficient in this county. And so instead of having to go to the Business Objects report selecting the county, you can visually select that county on the map and then run that report. While you're still in your map, you can then zoom in on that map and then do more analysis on the routes in that area. So maybe you can determine what a reroute might be around that bridge. Whenever you're running that type of scenario inside of just Business Objects inside of a report, you can't necessarily add that geographical aspect, and you can with the integration between the two systems. Okay, so now I want to start with the demonstration portion, and so we've got a few use cases here that I want to cover. Customer complaints to a water department, which is the one I just gave, properties at a hurricane risk, retail sales, and in tracking shipments. And these 4 use cases will allow us to give a good rounded view of the integration between Business Objects and Esri, and then show you, we also offer a service that allows you to embed live maps directly inside of Excelsius that doesn't require a full geographic system. So it's a foot in the door for a fully integrated system, but it's a lower cost system. So I'm going to exit out of this demonstration, and I've got a little splash page here. So let me give you a little architectural information about the integration between the two systems. So you've got your Business Objects system, you've got your Esri system. You can be a current Business Objects customer, a current Esri customer. You can have both systems in-house. And if you have one or the other, we can determine what solution best fits your needs based on your current acquisition, based on your budget, based on the final solution of the system. So we can make that determination. Now, The system that stands in between Esri and Business Objects that provides a bridge between the two systems is the Location Intelligence solution from APOS. APOS provides 4 potential paths of data between your two systems. There's an Esri to BobJ direction, there's a BobJ to Esri direction, there's a dashboard builder portion that uses the dashboard builder inside of InfoView in your Business Object system that allows you to bring in, say, a Webby report and Excelsius dashboard, but also include an Esri map inside that dashboard. And those windows are completely interactive. So you can select an item from an Excelsius dashboard and have it affect your Webby report as you normally would in Business Objects. But then you can also zoom in on that area on the map as well. So it gives you that type of integration. The last area with the APOS tool is Crystal Reports 2008. You can build a standard Crystal Reports 2008 report, but then inside of your report, you can have a fully interactive map that pulls from your Esri system. So, and then as you refresh your map, so say you filter out data from retail locations from a national level down to a state level, then the map will zoom in on that state level and show you those retail points on the map. One of the magical points about Crystal Reports is that you can then export that or save that Crystal Report as a PDF, and it still has that fully embedded and interactive map inside of that PDF. And I'll demonstrate that here shortly. We've also got a .NET integration kit portion of the Esri toolkit. APOS is moving to Flex, but they're still very competitive in the .NET arena, and there's some neat features of the .NET ADF that I can show you. And then finally, I'll show you the maps with Google Maps and your geographic data embedded directly inside of an Excelsius dashboard. So let's start here with the Business Objects integration kit. And let me relaunch this. So what's going to happen is we're going to see a map here with blue dots plotted on the map. And these blue dots represent police locations, fire stations, any type of public works locations that you might have. This is just a sampling representation of all the points across the country. So you can see here that inside of this view, we have the ability to pan around on the map. We can zoom in on specific areas here. So since we're in the Atlanta area, I've zoomed in here on Atlanta. So you can see the blue points here that represent each of those locations. And so I can then pan around, zoom back out, and then see a more overall view of the regions. So what I'm going to show you is the Esri to Business Objects direction. So here in this menu, we have a selection tool. And this selection tool was created by APOS, and it allows you to draw shapes on the map based on the buttons up top here. It also allows you to select what layer of data you want to use to select from. And then once you do that, your selections will show up here in the bottom, and then you can click the Run button to run your report. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box around the Atlanta area. I'm going to show the offices I want to select from the offices layer. So I'm just going to draw a box around the layer here. So now, by default, it gives us a selection 1. I'm going to rename that. I'm going to give it something friendlier. Okay? So now, we can take a quick view of any offices that were given to us inside of that shape. So you can see here in this box, we've got a lot of offices that popped up, but there's a lot of data contained on the Esri side, so we're still just strictly in the geographic side. So you can see there's a lot of data in here. You can slim that data down just to show the data that you want. So I'm going to dismiss that and make sure my Atlanta, Georgia selection is picked, and I'm going to click the Run button. The Run button then accesses the APOS bridge, and it runs a report in your Business Object system. So I've set up a Webby report here to show me the list of offices that I've selected. So you can see here that in the Atlanta area, this is all of the fire departments and police stations, and there's a public works office here that I've selected. And then it's given me a standard pie chart and a standard bar chart here, and that we built in Esri. So keep in mind that with the two systems here, we can take advantage of existing reports or we can build all new reports. The way that we pass this data in is using prompts inside of the reports. So I'm going to close this, and now, let's see here. So that's the Esri to Business Objects direction. Let me give you a quick demonstration of the Business Objects to Esri direction. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this link. It's going to take me into Info View. And inside of Info View, and you'll recognize the login screen here, I'm going to log into Info View, and I'm going to navigate over to a report that I've generated. So I'll go into my document list, and when I scroll down into my Department of Transportation folder, I'm going to open up Office to Flex Map Report. So if I view this report, it's going to give me a listing of office locations here. So say, since I'm still in Georgia here, I'm going to pick Georgia, the Fire Department in Albany, Georgia, and then the Fire Department in Canton, Georgia. So you'll notice there's a couple of differences here from what you normally see with a Webby report. The differences are there's a button bar up top. The button bar allows you to check all items, uncheck all items, or after you've selected items in the checkboxes here, you can click Map Properties, and that Map Properties will pop up a map and show you those points on the map. So also you've got the checkboxes here. And building these buttons and checkboxes are really easy. It's just a matter of inserting HTML into your objects in your universe, dragging and dropping those out, and then telling Webby via your properties that you want to show these as HTML rather than just standard text. So I'm going to click Map Properties here. And this is going to call that same APOS bridge, but now we're moving back the other way across the bridge. So I've selected 2 points in Georgia, and you notice that here in Albany, it's shown us the 1 point. So if I zoom in on Albany, see there's our fire station, and I can continue to zoom in. So as we move in there, you can highlight that point, just move your mouse over it, and there's a bit of call-out text. That call-out text is completely customizable, so you can tell the map what you want to show up there, whether it's going to be the name of your location or the name of the point that you've plotted on the map, or it could be square footage, date open, it could be a combination of all of that, so you can just pop up a little window there to show that data. So I'm going to go back, and then I can zoom in here on Canton in northern Georgia, and it's the same thing there. Whenever you mouse over that, you've got a pop-up that will show there, and the same information will display. And all you're doing is, the only thing that you're passing from one environment to the next is just a unique identifier for those points. So all we've passed over is the office IDs here for both the points. So it's not a large amount of data you're passing over. Your data still lives in Business Objects, your data still lives in your Esri system, but you're just passing over unique identifiers to identify the object in the 2 different systems. Okay? So that's a good basic idea of how the Business Objects to Esri integration direction works. And you can also keep in mind that we're not limited to just points. If it makes sense to highlight a road section on your report and then have it highlight that line on the map, we can do that as well. Same thing with polygons. If you wanted to show a region that you've had developed on your map, we can identify that region on the report and then click the map button and then pass that over into the map and then show that region on the map. Okay? So let me log out of my Business Objects environment here and close that down. I'll show you now the dashboard. So this is going to take me in using an open document call. And security is still enabled, so I still have to log in. But this is going to just directly jump me into the 3-part dashboard that we've developed using Webby, Excelsius, and an Esri map. So we'll let this dashboard appear. And so you see here on the top left corner, we've got an Excelsius dashboard. And there it is. It's got a listing of states. It's got a chart showing our sales in that state. And then we've got a listing of sales by zip codes for the selected state. So if I select Florida here, my map over on the right side is going to update, and you can see that I can mouse over each of these sections, each of these counties, and see what the population in 2007 was. And we're just using standard population data here. If we wanted to use, say, sales data or customer information or corporate information to overlay on this map, we can do that as well. And then you'll notice that whenever I click Florida here, we then see the individual sales figures for the different zip codes in Florida. And I can jump over to Tennessee and then see the different counties in Tennessee and then the sales report in Tennessee. And then we can continue jumping around. So if I jump back up to Illinois, it's going to show me my sales figures in Illinois broken down by zip code and then show the different counties on the map. So I'm just showing you here how we can use Excelsius as a driver. We can also use the map as a source so that you could select the county on the map and then have it affect the the Excelsius dashboard and also the Webby report. And with the dashboard builder, you're still bound to, with Webby documents, using a Webby to Webby as a source and target. So if you select a Webby report here, it won't necessarily update the map and the dashboard, but it will update other Webby reports inside of the same dashboard. So that's the dashboard builder portion, showing you the integration between Business Objects and Esri with Excelsius Webby and an Esri map. Now, the last portion here, everything that I've just shown you is using the technology called Flash, which is a standard Adobe programming language. And that allows you to present maps that are better looking, higher performing. Whenever you pan and zoom around, it allows you to you see the animations between your transitions. The .NET ADF that I'm bringing up here is an older technology. It's one we've been working with for the past 3 years. It allows you to do the same thing. So we've got a map here. If I zoom in on the Minneapolis area, this was a study that we performed on the retail chain Target versus Walmart. So whenever we zoom in here, I need to zoom in a little bit closer because this is an Esri map where I have my scales set here so that Walmart and Target stores don't wake up until I zoom into a certain level. So we'll zoom in here, and what we see here are the locations where there are Target stores and Walmart stores. And if we mouse over some of these locations, we've got a little pop-up here that can display. This is an Excelsius dashboard that we developed that allows you to look at more information about a specific point on the map or feature on the map. So here we've got a Target in Stillwater, Minnesota, with a sales volume and number of employees. We can look at the last 12 months of rolling sales here, and then with an analysis here, we can still use the fully interactive analysis features of Excelsius inside of the map. And we've also got a photo section so that you can put in photos of that location or pictures that may be of interest in that location. So this data is fed in dynamically, so whenever you roll over a point on the map, the data that pertains to the point that you rolled over is going to show on that map. So whenever you roll over another point here, so now we've got a Target here in St. Paul, Minnesota with the same type of data and the same type of analysis. So you can roll around your map and do the same type of analysis on all of your different locations. And then in addition to that, we still have the capability of using the APOS selection control in this type of interface so that we could select Target stores within this block and then run a report on the Target stores. And we can do the same thing with the Walmart stores. So here we've got 3 points that are selected on the Target stores layer, presents us with a link that we can click, and that link will run a report based on those 3 stores. So if you've got an existing report that you just want to say, I want to see data on these 3 locations, then we can just feed those unique identifiers into that map, or into that report, and then there's your standard Webby report based on those 3 selected locations from the map. And then back over on the map, you can see the highlighted area that where we just drew the point, or we just drew that box. So that's a great feature with the .NET ADF, and you can see that we can float different items over, so you can clear your graphics out completely if you want to clean up your map. And we've also floated our logo over the map here, and so you have a lot of control over this type of user interface. So we'll close this. And the last item that I have in this demonstration is a new partnership that we have here at DecisionFirst, and it's with Synagon Solutions out of San Diego. And they've created a great plugin for Excelsius. It's called the GMap plugin. You may have seen some chatter about it recently because they just released their third version of the plugin. So what they've developed is a system that allows you to embed a Google Map base map directly inside of an Excelsius dashboard. Now, Excelsius comes built in with some mapping features. Those mapping features allow you to just see a black and white map, so basically the outline of a country, the outline of the entire world by continent. They allow you, I know there's California in the United States, I believe there's one more state, but Excelsius by default doesn't provide you with an outline of all of your states, and it also doesn't provide you with a list or an outline of your counties or zip codes. Now, with the GMap plugin, you're able to tap into Google Maps, and then you're also able to plot out your data from within Excelsius. So you're able to put in, say, a latitude, longitude for a point, or a series of latitudes and longitudes for a polygon or a line, and you can embed that directly inside of Excelsius. So let me launch this Excelsius dashboard. So I developed this dashboard a few weeks ago to demonstrate the capabilities of, say, a company that has that embeds GPS chips or RFID chips inside of pallets as they move along a route on a truck. So what you're looking at here is just a standard Excelsius dashboard. The map in the background here is a standard component. I've resized that component to the full size of the canvas. And then I've got a standard Excelsius spreadsheet item here, and then I've got just a transparent backdrop so you can still see the map with a radio button text box. So here we still have our standard GMap capabilities. We can see a satellite, a hybrid, and the terrain. We can zoom in and out. So if we click here, zoom in and out, so we can zoom in on the Atlanta area. We can also put in directly the name of the city, a specific address, however you would normally interact with Google Maps, you can interact with this plugin directly inside of Excelsius. So Chicago, you can zoom in and out as you normally would with Google Maps. And let's go down to Orlando. So I zoomed in here on Orlando. Let's zoom in a little bit further. So I've got this little radio button here that goes from manual selection on the map to a palette selection. And you'll notice that whenever I switch to this palette, there are points along a route that showed up on this map. So each of these pins represents a point in time when this GPS chip on this truck called home. Think about the use case where you've got a fleet of trucks that have pallets on the truck. The trucking company is a separate contracting company that you're working with. They're trying to save money. They go down, they get maybe a mile down the road, they decide to save money. They're going to flip off a refrigeration system that's absolutely imperative to your product on their truck. But then once they get within a mile or 2 miles of the destination, they flip it back on so that your product is nice and cold, probably spoiled at that point, but still cold on arrival. You've embedded a chip inside of that pallet that along the way calls in and gives you the GPS location and also the temperature of that point along the route. So here we can say at 8:02 a.m. on a specific day, this pallet called home, and that's where the location was at 8:02. You can click on that, and it's giving you a little bit of information. This is the start point at 8:02 a.m., and there's your temperature, 28.5 degrees. And then as you move along, we can then go to the second point and get some information about it. And it's still at 8:03, it was still 28.5. We can move along the point here and see how it progressed. And then here, so this trucking company is doing well. They're keeping your frozen product nice and cold on the truck. We can continue down the street, and then, okay, still 28.5, that's great, 28.5. And then at our destination here, this is the end. Okay, it arrived at a nice cold temperature. But one thing you'll notice while I'm clicking on these points, I'm getting a bit of call-out text here. Something else I'm getting, if you notice the spreadsheet component here at the bottom, is that you're getting points back out. So you're getting the data on the map back out into a standard Excelsius component. That allows you to take data on your map that you've embedded and do more analysis as you typically would with Excelsius. So if you've got an existing dashboard that basically reports on this, we can now embed a map on that dashboard, whether it's full size like this, or maybe just a subset at the top right corner of your dashboard that shows you as you select a point inside of your spreadsheet where that point is on the map. And so that's the idea here. This solution doesn't require a full GIS system since it uses Google Maps. You buy the component to use within Excelsius. That component then taps into the Google Maps system using the subscription that comes as part of the component. Then you have the ability inside of Excel in Excelsius to plot those points on the map. You also have the ability to tap into an existing GIS system, whether it's Esri or any other of the popular GIS systems. It uses an open standard to tap into any services that you already have running on your existing GIS system. So you're not limited just to Esri. You can integrate any GIS system that you're using as long as it adheres to the ODS open standard. Okay, so that's everything that I have as far as the demonstration portion. Let's go back over to our presentation here. So we had some use cases here. The hurricane tracking system that I mentioned earlier, we built for an insurance company, and they were interested in knowing when a hurricane comes on shore, which of their policies are at higher risk? How much money are they risking to lose with this oncoming storm? And that tells them how much they can reallocate resources from other areas of the country back into this area that's going to be at greatest need at any point in time. So here you can see Hurricane Katrina as it was before it hit landfall. We can dissect this shape into the 74 and up mile-an-hour wind swath that you see represented by red, and the next lowest wind swath and the next lowest wind swath represented by yellow and blue. And we can run reports on those shapes specifically and say, show me a report of how much our premiums are in the area of the highest wind speed at this point in time. Now, we've also got a system that automatically downloads these hurricane shape files from NOAA as soon as they're published. So as soon as they're published, we receive a notification. The system automatically updates the map with the latest hurricane data and then generates reports. So once the map is updated, it can kick off a notice to Business Objects to say, okay, run these Webby and Excelsius report, or Webby and Crystal reports, and then we want to distribute a summary report out to all of the account executives to let them know there's been an update and this is the latest data that pertains to this company. So it's a really neat system. We also have past hurricane data that can show us, okay, the hurricane's already blown across southern Florida here. What's our current cost here? So how much money do we need to allocate, or how much money should we have allocated to that area, and where should it go? You can zoom all the way in there on the map and see that data specifically and find out where that hurricane blew through. So this is a use case that we worked on a few months ago. We've got one of the Department of Transportation was interested in doing a study on deficient bridges in specific counties in their state. So what we did was we built out a demo for them that allows them to pick specific county shapes. So we're using a predefined county shape here rather than having to manually draw the outline of the county, and then show them a listing of bridges. So you'll recognize this type of user interface from us being able to select a link here and then running that report. And so that report is just a standard Webby report showing the different classifications of bridges within that one county. That one county was selected geographically and not inside of a prompt in a Webby report. So this opens up a lot of opportunity where you can then zoom in and then find out what routes are associated with the individual bridges, how much attention you need to pay to those intersections that are affected by that severely deteriorated bridge. This was an interesting use case that we dealt with middle of last year. we did some work with a natural gas pipeline company that received calls from ranchers in the Midwest that said, hey, we've got a natural gas deposit, can you come help us? So the rancher may call several gas companies and say, I've got this natural gas deposit on my ranch. The first company that gets out there can get right to this pipeline. So what we did was give the company the ability to click a point on the map and then draw, say, a 2-mile radius around that point and find out what pipelines they have nearby. So they've received a new call, which is what you're seeing in the yellow icon on the screen there. They've picked that point, they've drawn the point around they've drawn a circle around that point. Now, in that circle, we can select the pipelines that come within that circle, and then we can run a report on that. The user, the field agent can then go out to that rancher and say, yeah, we've got a pipeline 1/10 of a mile on the edge of your ranch that we could tap into this afternoon. So the first company that gets out to that rancher and says, yes, we can do it right now, we can do it tomorrow, is the one that wins the contract. So obviously that's good for the company. That's it for all of our use cases. I hope it's been informative. And again, my name is Chris Hickman, and feel free to email me at the email you see on the screen here. Amanda's email address is also there as well. And then our mainline phone number is there if you have any questions for us. And now I'd like to open it up for questions and answers.
Does anyone have questions right now?
Yes, I have one quick question.
Okay, who are we speaking with?
This is Harry Sithill with Southern South.
Okay, great, Harry. Thank you.
When you showed the forward demonstration with population data, does any public domain information such as that come with Esri?
Yeah, Esri has a very wide range of demographic data. So as part of your purchase with Esri, you get the demographic data for all users, for all regions all across the country. So you get everything from individual census information that comes in from the last census to the current census. You also get data that Esri itself has gathered. They've got a very extensive data gathering team that fans out across the U.S. and gathers this data. One big push that they've got this year is to gather the same data internationally so that they won't be limited to just the U.S. But yes, all the public information is out there and accessible, and it's also updated by Esri every July, I believe. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Great. Anyone else? You can either send them in via chat or just talk to us over the phone.
Yes, my name is Jen Howard from the University of Minnesota, and I have a question. Most of the things we've done today are at a city or state level. Do you have any samples or things where you see people using floor plans?
You mean facilities management?
Yes.
I don't currently have any demos, but I can build one up for you so that we can zoom in on a specific, you're talking about like a specific campus?
Yeah, we're looking at a campus that we're looking at being able to show floor plans and show what bands serve which rooms or which custodial teams clean which areas. And we have the other system,
okay.
Every minute we have business objects with the data. We want to figure out how to make that interactive.
Okay. Yeah, so what you can do there is the integration between the two systems is not limited to a specific industry or a specific data set. If you've got reports that you currently run that you can relate in your mind over to the geographic facility data, so you've got maybe building locations or janitorial teams that deal with building locations and regions, we can integrate those two together with just using the common data points.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I don't have a demo to show you, but facilities management is one of the strengths of Esri, as you well know. And since they're common data sets between the two, we certainly can integrate them.
Okay.
Anyone else have questions? think that may be it then. So,
Okay.
thanks so much, Chris, for the demonstration and presentation, and thank everyone for attending and for the questions that we did have. Again, if there was something that was not answered during the demo presentation, please feel free to give Chris a call or an email, and then if you want to, dive deeper into the technology and in your specific industry, please give me a call or send me an email as well, and I'll get you connected to the right people. I want to invite you to visit DecisionFirst online at DecisionFirst.com to learn more about DFT and what we have to offer, and then also additional technology webinars that will be coming soon. We always have a host of webinar events out there. We'd love for you to attend if you have the time. Thanks again for participating, and we hope to see you at another event soon. Thanks so much. Okay. So the first one, can I get? I wrote them down. I'm trying to figure out how to get a report on the back end. I don't know. So that's good. I think Janet probably came in from VC Solutions, actually, one of our partners. And then, of course, Steve's been working with them ourselves. First one.
So I'm, well, I think I did record it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Recorded panel.
So when I was talking to you can record it to the server where it records it up here on our DFT server. When you download it, it costs $55, so you only want to do it once and then put it somewhere, or you can do it to your computer, but it might not be of good quality.
Yeah, and see, that's what I did, was record it through the computer.
Because you couldn't, there wasn't access, right?
Yeah.
And the comment, when you, and I know you probably couldn't see my screen.
Yeah, I couldn't.
You have to be a little careful when you're clicking, because you're delayed over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to slow down.
Yeah. But you're good at talking about, like you're waiting, the screen's coming, and you're good at waiting on it.
I learned that a while back.
So you just keep talking just in case.
Yeah. I just don't know how to
get to it?
Oh, we've got some questions here.
Oh.
What version of Object Tools are you using? Can send or ask your questions via phone. If you want, I can email him.
That's fine. You want to just send, I don't know if he's still on. He's not still on. Did it come up? See, I thought I was going to get it over here. I didn't get him.
I think he sent it just to the host and presenter, not to all participants.
Okay, but I thought you made me a presenter.
No, you only have one presenter.
I asked the lady, I said, can you
be a host
and
make me the presenter, so we can do that.
So I can see you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, Greg will be here too. He won't do anything. So, okay, yeah, you have his, we can call him.
Yeah, let's call him real quick.
Let's call him. I'll just say, look, I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't see it on the...
Being a call.
Does it say what time you sent that in?
It doesn't.